7:32, we will now call the EDC board meeting to order for April the 4th. And we'll get started with the call to order and roll call.
Here.
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 Wallace. Here.
Hardy.
Here.
Dollar.
Here.
Clark.
And I do not see this morning one of our community clergy with us this morning.
Yeah, to read a short item.
All right, Ms. Reed, if you would, please.
Morning.
Morning.
This is what I was saying. It's out of First Timothy 2:1-7. The message is simple, faith, plain and true. First thing I want to know, what you do is to pray. So pray every way you know how, for everyone that you know. Pray especially for the rulers and the government to rule as well, so we can be put quietly out of our business of living simply and humbly contemplation. This is the way our Savior God wants us to.
Amen. Thank you. All right. I'll ask for you to stand and we'll have a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And this morning, Mr. White, I'll ask you to start off and lead us.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the agenda up for approval. May I hear a motion to approve the agenda as it stands? I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by a yes.
Aye.
Those not in favor signal by nay. Hearing no nays, we'll move forward with the approved agenda. Public comment is the next item on our agenda for the morning. We have a limited audience. Is there anyone in our audience that would like to have public comment? Not seeing any hands from the audience. We'll go to the Zoom system. Do we have anyone on our Zoom system that would like to have a public comment this morning? We'll ask that you hold that to 3 minutes. We have now started to employ a timer as we get ourselves a little bit more settled in. And I believe I see someone who has a public comment. Good morning, sir. Oh, I think that's our council. Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Is there anyone else in the Zoom audience that would like a public comment? No, not seeing or hearing anyone. We'll move forward to our presentations for the day. Our first order of business is the CEO's report for the day.
Thank you, Chair Harvey. I appreciate everyone being here today. It's great to see a full house, so thank you. I'm gonna say that again. Thank you again. So thank you for being here. I'll make this short. I know everyone has a busy schedule today. The president's report is on page 3. As I mentioned in the email, the entire packet is quite lengthy. Today, I did not print it all because there's a very, very robust housing needs assessment report in that packet that I pray none of you tried to print because it was 100 pages long. So, but that is in your packet and I brought some highlights of that I thought I would pass around. So I'm going to do that now. Kind of just pass around some of the highlighted pages as I'm kind of going through the president's report. The way we report out on the president's report, is that we are reporting out based on the goals that the board has set for me for the year. And so I try to report out on those goals every month. Thank you to Tim Zeller. This is your first meeting, I believe. So thank you for being here especially. The board has assigned 4 areas of competencies, that is in governance, leadership, community relations, and fiscal management. In this particular given month, we had 2 board members that were in the process of onboarding, looking for feedback from those 2 board members, plus Bruce, who came on the month before. Anything you might need, help get acclimated, please let me know. Continuing with policy creations and guiding the task forces. There will come a day that I will start to request a board member sort of take a liaison role in each task force. So it's not so taxing. So might be thinking about your favorite task force and see where you might want to fit in. On the leadership competencies, we've been focusing this month on the Albion Marshall Employer-Led Collaborative 2.0. This is our 2nd year. And I brought some flyers with me today if anybody's curious to see what the options are. Anyone who's interested, we will want to have your initial check the box that you're interested by the end of this week. And then by the end of next week, we'll finalize the application and submit. We have 20 interested employers at this point. If 20 interested employers had an average of 10 people, that would be 200. Our goal last year was 250. Our goal this year is 250. So it's always a stretch goal, but you never know, we might hit it one of these times. Community relations competency, we continue with our Mission My Hope work. And we did finalize our first house with repairs in this month. So that was that's huge for us. That's $1 million grant. We can spend up to $25,000 per household. So we're very busy managing that process. And then under fiscal management, as has been reported in the past, we remain operating to budget. We are in the midst of a strategic purchase and sale of property, so that's taking some time, but that is helping with rolling out our budgeted revenues and expenses. Under the 10-point multicultural plan, I highlighted the 5 areas that fit best within that category. You can probably read those, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. A lot happening right now based on the multicultural plan. That's the plan that we developed, the 10-point strategy to support Blue Oval from Albion's perspective, so Albion can be a supporting partner for Blue Oval. The 5-year plan, we continue to work on the site readiness and land accumulation for the new industrial park. We're continuing to support Colson Industries as they expand in the Western Industrial Park. And then looking at continuing to attract businesses, and then looking at a corridor infrastructure authority that would be on Austin Avenue and one on North and South Eaton. That would be a tool, and that would be a board that would have to be approved and set up if the city council chooses to move in that direction, but we're just doing the legwork because it's an economical tool, economic development tool we would hope to deploy. Under the housing champion, again, pretty busy there. As you see from the housing, if when you have a chance to look at the housing report, and if you'd like to have a session where we actually review it in detail, essentially we know that there's a 1,500 unit need here in Albion. And that is as a result of the Blue Oval. We know we had a 900 unit need. Wildflower Crossing created 400 or will create 400. That left us at a 500 unit need. With a Blue Oval, we're anticipating another 1,000. So that is a very high level summary, but as it turns out to what we should be building, that's the reason we have the housing study. So so that has been a big focus this month from the housing perspective. There's a grant that's due. It's the My Neighborhood Grant application. I've spoken to city manager and the EDC will take a lead on that. I do not have a resolution for you today, just ran out of time. So as soon as I have that resolution prepared, I will get that out to you and we'll get that application off. And we'll approve that resolution at the next meeting. It would be $400,000 we're looking for so that we can continue the work that we're doing with the MISTA grant that we currently have. This is part of the $8.6 million that's coming out to Region 8 from the state. So Region 8 is the 8 counties in the southwest corner of Michigan. And then the region just above us, which includes the greater Grand Rapids area, Muskegon, they received 12.5 million. And between us and the $12.5 million region, we have a substantial amount of the total 60 million that went out statewide. So it's clear to me, and it's clear to those of us in Region 8 as EDOs, that they are looking for us to do big things in our area. So we're trying to make sure that we're coming to the table on behalf of our area for the state. And the Kennedy Green project, which is the 48 units of affordable housing, workforce housing, that is going to be behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. They were in a tie for that. The developers, Voda Cooper, tied and they lost the tiebreaker. So we did not get that award this time around. That was announced April 1st. The governor announced the awards. And they will go in again in October. So we're recalibrating that application. So not unheard of to not win the first time. Just unfortunate that it was a tiebreaker and Misha didn't choose WODA. So there was a technical reason for that. So we will continue on. So we will hopefully get a yes in the next round.
So Bridget, I know we were told that there were errors in the application. Do we know what the errors were?
There was a technical error in the application and I didn't ask for the specifics.
Okay, so
Because it's their application and
they'll fix it and without,
I don't believe it's anything that the city of Albion could have done differently or the EDC could have done differently. There was some snafu, a technical error. These are pretty complex applications, so. But I'm not worried that we won't be successful in a future round.
I just wondered
Yeah.
if we knew what the problem.
Nothing we could have done differently. Yep.
Virgie, just for our newer members, might you just give them a brief synopsis of what the project entails?
Okay, I have spoken to some of the members about that, but I can give an update. It's 48 units of attainable workforce housing that would be built behind Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it's called Kennedy Green. And it's being financed by a LIHTC arrangement, and the application went in. I think it was due December or November. And they usually award those twice a year, and the award came out April 1st, but the governor announced that we did not win. So it would be 48 units on a piece of property that would be a great place for that kind of housing.
Okay.
And that is all I have for the president's report. I do have a thank you card here somewhere for the board's involvement in the Lisa House event, the Elevating Black Voices. So I will also pass that around so everyone can take a look at that.
So next on our agenda, you have an update on new board members for the EDC. We've allocated 5 minutes for that. I know there's some comments that you have, but I certainly would like to welcome the new board members to the board. Your presence and your commitment to the board is cherished. We've got a lot of work to do. I've wanted for the day that we had a full board, right? There's many things to be done. We need all hands that we can get in moving the community forward. From an EDC perspective, there's just a multitude of opportunities, and having a full board will be extremely helpful in accomplishing those things. As Virgie may have briefly, as she did briefly mention, there are sub-assignments, and with a full board, it gives us an opportunity to share the workload with each of the board members. So I welcome you. Thank you. Vicki, thank you for nominating additional board members. I know we have a couple open slots. From my perspective, implore and ask that you continue to nominate folks so we can have a full board. So thank you very much for
I
that.
keep trying there, Jerome, I keep trying.
I'm sorry.
I said I keep trying.
Well, we appreciate it. Yeah, well, thank you. So with that said, Ms. Ammerman, you have some comments around new board members. I heard you just mention that you have spoken to each of those new board members to start to orient them, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have, I believe, and still meeting and conversing on the orientation process, but do appreciate everyone that's here, and this is exciting to be on the rebuilding stage.
All right. With that said, let's go to item 8 for the group reports, our task force group reports.
So I can make this very brief. Again, I know some people need to be leaving today, so I don't want to belabor too much. Again, these are the task forces that are most active right now. The Community Engagement Task Force meets once a month, and if somebody on the board would like to be a part of that, these all meet during the day. And the purpose of the Community Engagement Task Force is to be a pipeline between the community and the EDC to learn what the community is interested in, bounce ideas off of them, get some feedback. So it's a very useful group for us. We hear a lot through that group, so that's very helpful for us. The executive board is currently made up of the chair and the vice chair and the treasurer and the secretary, and they meet the week before the regular board meetings. We do meet here in council chambers, so anyone can always join that group. We already are announcing that as a public meeting, open meeting, so anyone can come to that meeting. We don't have to worry about being at a quorum level, which is now 5, because we've already published it as an open meeting. So anytime you'd like to come and have influence over, the setting of the agenda, that would be a good time to come. The Housing Task Force group is very important and very busy right now, assessing opportunities and working on deciding how people can contribute. So we have a lot of people that come to the Housing Task Force meeting, asking questions, looking for information. So we try to keep pushing out as much as possible. Those folks that, for example, want to be involved in lot by lot development, this is a great place for them to come and learn how to, be part of the infill process. Industry and Business Attraction Task Force, we meet monthly also. Big focus right now is on the new industrial park. So that is our big focus. Again, also expanding and exploring options in our existing industrial park. Match on Main will be meeting in a week or so to look at applications because they are due this quarter by the middle of this month. So that's coming right up. And we would hope to have several applications we could submit. This has been a pretty successful program for Albion, so we would like to continue the successes. The Revolving Loan Fund Committee meets as needed when we get applications in and we have something to consider. They also are working on policy regarding some of the new style of funding that's coming into that group. So if you have an interest um, navigating ways to increase the revolving loan fund or make it more available for people to utilize. That is a group that has a set group of people in it that is dictated by the committee, the way the committee was set up. It is currently lacking one member, which we are filling hopefully from a financial institution. And but anyway, when you see those announcements, I typically let the whole board know because whatever the revolving loan fund committee approves is a recommendation to the full board. So it's good to come if you're interested in being part of the conversation. And then the Workforce Development Task Force is the committee that we use to navigate what it might take to develop workforce here in Albion. We have the better part of 700 people that are underemployed or unemployed, and it would be great to get them to work. And then also we are recognizing that as the rest of the state is recognizing that some of our lower skilled jobs are diminished in the workplace, and we need more high-tech skill. So learning how to navigate getting those higher tech jobs filled via training. We work closely with Ben at the Opportunity High School and Marshall Public Schools, and we work closely with Scott Coverly at KCC. MMTC has a big part of that, Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center. And we have a lot of other training partners. There was just recently a workforce development group created that we have been asked to be a part of relative to Blue Oval. So that is getting off the ground. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about how do I go to work there? What skills do I need? It flows out into what housing do we need? And some of those answers we don't have yet because we don't have the specifics of what the staffing models at Blue Oval will be. But this is the group that's focused on that because it again impacts the rest of the economic needs. And I don't really have anything more on that. I could talk all day about all the work that these task force are doing, but I don't want to take up too much time.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Ammerman? These items? Not seeing any questions. Let's move along in our giant, our action items, agenda item number 9. Is the consent agenda. We have several board meeting minutes to be approved. Is there a need to do these individually, Ms. Ammerman, or can we do them all together?
The executive team decided to put them all together in a consent agenda. So unless someone wants to pull something off the consent agenda, it would be appropriate to do them together.
Okay. Hearing no objections to them being combined, may I hear a motion to approve the March 14th board meeting minutes, the March 18th board minutes, and March 28th, 2024 board meeting? So do I hear a second? Second. It's been moved. It has a second. Is there any discussion to be had?
So I guess, since the March 14th meetings reflect that Bruce was voted in as treasurer, did we have to do another vote for that since these votes were invalid?
We did another one on the 8th.
That's what I was trying to
We
find.
had-
Okay, okay. All right, just wanted to double check.
Not hearing any objection. I think we're ready for a vote. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All those against, please do nay. Not hearing any objections. It's been moved and let it be so. Item number 10, the review of the February's this year 2024 Treasurer's Report. To review and approve the February 24 Treasurer's Report. Bruce, I know you're a new treasurer. Any comments that you may have or?
So you just need a motion in a second first. So moved.
Yes, I am the treasurer as of last week.
We need a support, so Vicky made a
Support.
motion, okay,
I mean,
now you can go, okay.
um. Yeah, as I was approved as a treasurer last week, I'm still studying the many documents of there. I have read through it all. I could possibly answer questions, although not as well as this one. So, just generally for those who are new to it, we have a number of funds. The city does the bookkeeping, they produce the reports for us. We have a brownfield development funds. That money comes in from special sites like the Marriott and downtown. A lot of that money that's coming in now is from downtown projects. That money eventually makes its way over mostly to the revolving loan fund. We also have an EDC budget, which is well accounted here in both in terms of its revenue and expenses. There's also the CHIP budget. I think we use the RLF budget in here too. So you have to go through all these different funds. The revolving loan fund is a rather important one, because that's the next money we have to the RLF committee has to approve loans from. I think there are 3 loans out right now. At the moment, not much has changed from the previous months that I see. I think a lot of in terms of the EDC budget itself, quite a bit of the money that's been approved has not yet been spent. A lot of it's in salaries and contract services that have not, that will be spent as we get more up with the staffing. So it's a little bit, you have to look at it a few minutes to sort of get it. Any questions so far?
Great, great. So just to go back, I'm told that I'm not heard very clearly sometimes. We have a motion. It's been seconded. We've had some discussion from our treasurer to share with us details. With all of that being said, is there any additional questions or anything that I've left out?
Is there anything notable that we should be made aware of in these new documents? A first question or a Virgie question?
I didn't see anything, but I would urge you, is there anything? I didn't.
I guess I would also ask, did we have any type of accounting? I had brought up at one of the last meetings about the use of the personal bank account to receive funds for the event that we held. Was there accounting? Did we get accounting for what came into that personal bank account that should have been transferred to the EDC budget?
All I can tell you is that the $50 that came in to my Cash App account, if that's what you're asking about to support an event, has been turned over to the city and it is in the accounts.
I don't think that's on these forms. It's an interesting idea there. Just from that earlier point, there might be a situation both for the city and for the EDC where you want to enlist some public support for a particular initiative that you've got going. So probably at some point we want to set up some sort of city account with 2 things that people can contribute to. I know people idea of voluntarily contributing to the city might seem strange to people, but it would depend on the initiative. And some initiatives people might incur some public support. So perhaps there is a way to make that efficient, but a more official mechanism in the future. Because I can see where having access to public involved would be positive in general.
I just think that it might be a legal headache, but I don't know,
That's probably a question for the city treasurer
or the attorney.
or the attorney, yes, both.
But the comment is duly noted and we'll follow up with our council around that. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please signify by yes.
Aye.
All those against signify by nay. Not hearing any nays in the audience or the board members, it's been passed. So the review and approval of the February 2024 treasurer's report has been accepted and approved. Item number 11, review and approve the resolution to approve the amendment to the Articles of Incorporation. Ms. Ammerman, you want to provide detail?
Sure. At prior meetings, the EDC board, although there was no quorum available at the time, had discussed a proposed resolution and a bylaw, I'm sorry. Really wish I hadn't said that word because now I'll get it in my head and I won't not say it again. The amendment to the Articles of Incorporation. The first time we did this, we were looking to have Mayor Pro Tem be able to step in if the mayor was not available. That did not pass at the city level, at the council level. And it seemed, as I was in that meeting, the concern was that the Pro Tem may not be up to date on those items and then would not be able to effectively represent at a meeting at a short notice. So I've met with some members here of the EDC board, and another option that we're putting forward is that of the 11 members of the EDC board, that 2 members actually be ex officio. They are allowed to be up to 3, but 2 would be ex officio based on their roles, and that would be the mayor and the mayor pro tem. So if the mayor and the mayor pro tem are are identified as roles that are represented on the EDC board, we should always have good coverage and accelerate the communication between the city and the EDC board, which is going to be paramount to success as we continue with these very large projects and needing the city's support. So this is a resolution that is on page 168. And then the amendment to the bylaws, this is see, I knew I would do that. The amendment to the articles is on the next several pages. And essentially, the change would just be to add Mayor Pro Tem as an identified member of the EDC board. And that would be 2 of the 11 seats, not a new seat, just an assigned seat. And I think at this point, although it should have happened before, you would need to get a motion, Mr. Harvey, to even have me say all that. So I should have not done that. But if you could ask for a motion, that would be helpful.
Do I hear a motion for the described description of item number 11 relating to the approval of a resolution to approve the amendment of the Articles of Incorporation?
I still move.
And you need a second.
I have a motion. May I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any additional discussion to be had around said item?
Jerome, if I may. So at a meeting at City Council on February 21st of last year, there was discussion about a resolution that was brought forth to have our city manager as an ex officio non-voting member to be part of the Articles of Incorporation, even though the city manager had always been there. And I can just go back to I was mayor starting in December of 2020. the city manager had always been present at the EDC meetings. But a resolution was brought forth just to make sure things were done in proper order to have the city manager as an ex officio non-voting. And council felt that it was not necessary to have two people be present from city government at the EDC. So that got voted down 4-3. So if the city manager should not have a need to be present, I don't see having another council member be present would be necessary either. I mean, we are moving forward, like we said, we're getting the seats filled. I just think that I just don't feel that based off of our past sentiments of not needing two, that this is not necessary either.
So, so I have a question to you, Victoria, because it was brought out in the meeting. I guess that there's not a lot of transparency that happens from this meeting to your mayor pro tem and about what is being discussed or what should be discussed. And I was wondering, why isn't there a regular meeting with your pro tem, because she's an acting person for you. So if she had to present something to council, because you weren't going to be present to the meeting about what was going on in the EDC, she still wouldn't know the same information. So I'm wondering why that hasn't been a regular thing in the past. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have, we had discussed having her as a proxy for you whenever you couldn't make meetings. That was the main reason.
So I've made myself available to anybody who wants to meet. Nobody's asked to meet with me. Nobody's sent me requests to communicate. Like, nobody from council has asked what's going on with EDC. There's been no specific questions directed to me about EDC matters. So I guess I would start there. Has there been a request to meet with me or to ask questions of me? Because that hasn't happened either.
So why wouldn't you just do it as the leader of, as the head person over council, is my question.
Well, you know, I'm usually not in town that often, and I know we're all busy individuals. So, but like I said, so early on, when I first was mayor, I came to town, made myself available to come to town and meet with individuals, to meet with council members, so we could have those regular meetings. I had gotten burned a couple of times where I set time off on my work schedule to come to town early, come to a meeting, and then I get here and I get a text, sorry, can't make it. That's happened multiple times. So again, I'm more than happy to talk, to meet, but I'm not getting those requests.
I find that interesting because even when I met with you when we had a discussion at one time about some issues that we were discussing at this level, when I asked to have a meeting with you and to get things talked about, you stayed mute and didn't do anything. So that's why I asked that question.
Well, we did meet.
We did.
We met on Zoom.
No, we did.
May I comment
Bruce,
on this
go ahead.
one? The way this is set up, there have to be two different approvals here. So there's two different perspectives, really. There's the EDC resolution changing our bylaws so that we can allow this additional ex officio member in here. Now, the council also has to approve it. So from the EDC's point of view,
Again, it's the articles, and that's my fault for saying it wrong the
Oh,
first time.
articles.
I'm sorry. So this board is. So frankly, city council can make this adjustment with or without the EDC board opining on it. But it seems that it would be best if this board opines first, whether it seems appropriate to recommend this change.
right, so
So
there's,
you're voting on, the motion would be to vote on this resolution to propose this change to city council.
right, so there are two different perspectives here, the EDC perspective and the council perspective. Councils, we can say to them, hey, it would be great for us to have an extra city official on here. Actually, the city manager, when you just mentioned, sounds good to me as well. I mean, I'm sort of in the idea that the council and the city should work closer together. That's my perspective coming from the EDC. Now, when the council hears this, they may have reasons why they don't want to have two ex officio members, or they don't want to have the city manager. If apparently they had some reason before they didn't want the city manager involved. So that's a different, that's not our vote here. Our vote is from our EDC perspective. And I'm thinking it's an 11-member board. It could handle two officials from the city that would promote better communication. That way, at least someone from the city is staying pretty well informed on it. So I don't see, I think the other way we're doing it, where we're trying to expand the role of the mayor pro tem, that didn't fit with the council's view of how the mayor pro tem role is defined, which is fine. But this one, ex officio, just simply means you can have members that are not appointed, they're there by virtue of their office. That could be the city manager, it could be the mayor pro tem. In this resolution, it's adding the mayor pro tem. So just to clarify that, the different perspectives, the council still will have to approve or not approve this.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I've only been appointed for a number of hours now, so I haven't done a lot of research on this or know a lot of the background. But when I read through the resolution, I'm a little confused because I heard it being proposed as an ex officio member and also as a regular voting member. So this says as a regular member, is that correct?
You
So,
can have ex officio voting members, or you can have ex officio
But
non-voting.
this doesn't say ex officio in it, it just says regular member in the resolution.
so,
Is that,
so I will say that, what has been done in the past is, it doesn't call out that the mayor is ex officio, but we use that language when we discuss it because we know that the mayor is a member of this board as a function of her mayorship. So part of the reason we have used that language internally as we have these discussions is we have 3 ex officio non-voting members. And that is the Chamber of Commerce leadership and Sheridan Township supervisor and Albion Township supervisor. So oftentimes as we make these discussions, we would say there are 3 ex officio non-voting members, and then the mayor has an ex officio voting member, even though it hasn't been proclaimed that in the documents. But we know that, as Bruce said, you can have ex officios voting and ex officios non-voting, just meaning that it's a function of the role. So when the mayor came on as mayor, there was no appointment and oath,
Right.
taken, and wasn't the process. So that's just the difference currently between a regular member and a regular member happens to be the mayor.
yeah, I guess I understand that. I'm just asking, what is this resolution? Is this for a normal, regular member of the board, or is it for an ex officio voting member or an ex officio non-voting?
So this would be for a regular member of the board, one of the 11, with full voting rights. And you would only have the role if you happen to be the pro tem.
And one other thing that's related, but not necessarily exactly related. Because I was just appointed Monday, I don't believe I have a voting power today. I haven't done the oath, filled out the paperwork. But I will be shortly after that. So I'm not, as you may have noticed, I haven't voted yet.
So you can vote, you have a certain amount of time to get the oath
Okay.
accomplished according to the bylaws. So you became a full member at the council meeting, so
Thank you
you're
for that
allowed to vote.
clarification.
Yep.
So just a couple comments from where I'm sitting. The agenda for the EDC is a big agenda. and the movement that we need to make moving forward is vast. I've sort of adopted the slogan, we can't let anything stand in our way for the betterment of the city, right? And having the flexibility of cross communication between the council, the mayor's office, and the mayor pro tem will help us, in my opinion, to expedite, make certain that there is good communication going back and forth. It is difficult to move with resolutions and voting and timing of council meetings, timing of EDC meetings and the like, to move things forward effectively and efficiently. I think I've heard Vicky Snyder point out in several occasions that she too has a career and a job and is a working person, as all of us are. So having the mayor pro tem be part of the EDC broadens our ability to cross communicate with the council, with the city, has been my thought, right? And if in fact the mayor is not available or her schedule does not permit great communication between she and the council, then we have the mayor pro tem who can also help effectuate that communication back and forth. That has been the practical approach that I've looked at this for, right? We are ill-advised because we don't have board members or communication back and forth to do the people's business. And with that, I think this is a good idea because it helps us to do that. And so that's been the rationale that I have been welcoming this sort of a change, right? It has been mentioned by you, Vicky, that the city manager some years ago, it thought that the office did not need to be part of the EDC. Today, in that same effort to move the town forward expeditiously and move out blockades as much as we can in communication, I have not chatted with my other board members, but I would think that that would be welcome. That's a city council call, but the faster we can import and export information, good, solid information between the bodies, it will be helpful in moving the community forward. And I believe that every street in town and every person in town wants us not to build butter, but to build effective action for the community. Right? So from that perspective, I see no reason that we wouldn't welcome the city manager into these meetings as an ex officio. May not need to vote, but certainly the communication, right, is critical. The things that office does on a daily basis is essential for our knowledge base and vice versa.
I totally agree, but the city council did not agree.
Well,
Perhaps they can change their mind.
It's the same city council. Same members.
well, it may be more information now. So I'm going to look at it from a positive, right? And perhaps more information, more momentum moving forward may be the call of the day.
Yeah, I would
Jim?
also support the city manager being a non-voting ex officio member. Again, for the same reason I'm in favor of this is better communication.
Right.
I think it's not, before when we were doing there was this, forum thing. I think the quorum thing has been resolved since we're getting appointees and that's moving along and people are coming to the meeting, so that. It's more, I think, at this point, an issue of communication.
Right.
And the mayor's suggestion that the city manager should be at these meetings in that same manner, well, so that she's also in the communication loop, seems to me an excellent idea.
Certainly,
I
absolutely.
mean, from our point of view, again, it's got to be considered by the council. From their point of view, they may have reasons that we don't have. But from our point of view, the more, the better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tim, I think you.
Yeah, I did. Couple of things. First of all, I appreciate what the chairperson said about the city manager. As former city manager myself, running tax equivalent financing projects. It's really important if your city is doing things like managing your books and things like that, to have that administrative connection. That information coming back and forth is really, I think, important for just the good running of the EDC, just because administratively they have so much involvement in it. I would recommend, this is, and even maybe just ask for a little grace here on this, but I would recommend that we've got a lot of new people here. We might want to spend a little time figuring out how we work together and going forward, saying, after a few meetings together, then say, okay, what is the best way to get communication? Where is it missing? And then put forward these kinds of resolutions. It feels to me a little soon for some of us that are new to be kind of, I feel like there's pressure to make a decision about something I don't really know the background on.
Mhm.
But I really feel like we've got a full board now. We can get our own rhythm going and figure out how we're all going to work together and where we need that help. And if it's the pro tem, then yes. If it's a city manager, then yes. But right now it feels more like a back and forth in parts of information, but I don't feel like we're all together on it. So my recommendation is, let's give this some time. I would vote no today, but be really open to whether that's the best thing or not.
Yeah,
So we-
and I second that, what
We don't have a full board.
Tim is saying right now, because he does have a good point of view as far as what he's putting out. And also, I think we should, I mean, this room is full right now, so let's give these guys a chance to get their feet wet. And I guess my whole thing is too, is like, we got rid of the city manager, but now we want to bring somebody else in again. So I guess everybody just needs a little more clarification and a little more understanding as far as what we're really trying to do here. But I look here and I see this as a full room, so I think we have plenty votes to go around, continue to get things done.
Yeah, and again, my point is really just that. I mean, let's figure out how we can be one board and work together. And then we can make decisions like this that everybody says, yeah, that's what we need to make this board successful for this community. I mean, I'm sitting here, I don't even know this lovely lady's name sitting next to me because, and a couple of others. I mean, I'm sure you're not Nora Jackson and that's the name in front of you, but I would like for us all to, become a unit and then make these kinds of decisions together.
So is there like a motion to table it?
I think we have.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
No.
So let's make certain that there's no other comments. Bruce, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just a small comment. I agree with, a lot of what's being said. You can see it on either side. On one side, we do want to have we want to make sure that we have a communication between the city and the EDC board. That's number one. And the other thing is, and this from the outside looking in as, being a new board member, I've been to several of these meetings as just a citizen. And a lot of those meetings, we didn't have quorum for whatever reason. Today is full. But is it gonna be full every meeting coming forward? And I understand that, we all have lives outside of this. We have jobs, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm a busy person. But when I commit to something, I do whatever I can to fulfill that commitment. Me being a prior military guy, when I raise my right hand and take the oath of enlistment or the oath of, of being on this board, I take that real seriously. If I felt at any time that I could not stand up to that oath, I would politely step aside and not hold the progress back of the city, of the community, because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is to move the city forward. And I'm all for that. So that being said, it's just, I think, on the other point that, you know, maybe we should, if we got a new board, there's more members here. Can we give ourselves a chance to see going forward what happens? If going forward there, we begin to have problems with quorum and all that stuff, communication between the city, then we need to move forward then.
So I'll just give a couple points of interest. We have 3 open seats remaining, so we have 8 members here. We are an 11-member, you are an 11-member board. I want to clarify that the request from the EDC board was to validate the city manager's ex officio non-voting role that was similar to Sheridan Township, Albion Township, and the chamber. And at that time, the city council did not approve that. It would, there, if you were considering having city manager be an ex officio voting role on this board, I think you would want to maybe talk with legal counsel first, because that may be all sorts of conflicts. So I don't know if a voting member for the city manager, I would just caution you, maybe talk to counsel first.
Yeah, I don't think that's what anybody was suggesting.
Yeah, where I'm sitting, I'm looking for the 11-member board that will help guide the EDC. The ex officio roles, are those, the ex officio non-voting roles represent our customers, represent our colleagues, represent the co-stakeholders that we need to have incredibly large amount of communication with. So at the time that the city manager was voted by this board to ask the council to have that person be a non-voting ex officio, I think that's different than what this resolution is. This resolution's asking to fill one of the 11 seats with the pro tem. So I just wanted to clarify what is happening. I don't want to influence what happens today, but just to be clear, we have 3 members left to seat. And yes, we absolutely need to do some teaming once those people are seated, but we also don't have any influence over who gets seated. So in this case, we were asking this board to consider having the pro tem be one of the 11 to move along the communication and strategic planning. So that would be really helpful. I know, Mayor, I know I'm seeking an appointment with you, and I know I've asked a couple times via email. I know you're very busy and it's hard to be in town. So I recognize that. I just know that there are others that are in town and would be great to be able to meet with them on a regular basis. So just looking for options. You know, not wanting you to make a special trip back to Albion, you know, just to meet with me, but just looking for ways to structure the board so that the guidance is appropriate. But so, and the other thing I would say is you can accept a table if it has a second, and then you are able to vote on the table, which would effectively, you know, postpone this to a later meeting.
So let me just kind of round robin to make certain that we're getting complete comments from the board members. Ben, you've been pretty quiet, but I've seen you glance at me a couple times with a signal of I have something to say or move on? Let it,
I'm ready to move forward.
ready to move forward. Okay, all right. Ms. Clark, any other comments from you? No. Vicky, any other comments from you that you'd like to make? Yeah, okay, all right. Is there any other comments overall?
But Tim, did you make a motion to table?
Yeah, I
So,
was just waiting for the comments, but yeah.
yeah, so let me surmise what I've said, I've heard. Right, we have an action item on the table, item number 11. We have not put a motion to it at this point, right?
No, that's not true. So you have put a motion and a second, which is why we've been in discussion.
Okay, good.
And
That's what I
now,
want-
and now it sounds like there's in anticipation of a table.
Okay, so with that being said, you have a,
I have one more thing to say. if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind, in anticipation of a motion to table. I really envision, I mean, the reason I got on this board is for Albion, not for, any personal, sides of things. I envision that if we spent enough time working together and figured out as a board what we want to do, and all of us said, yes, this is the best way forward, I would then envision that the city council would say, wow, the whole board believes in that. We should also accept that. But if it's like partial votes on this and that, and then the city council has to fight over it, I don't see how that helps Albion.
sure,
I think it helps Albion if we figure out what we all have in common, what we can do to, come together. And I can't vote on that as a yes today. So, but I really want to hear from everybody. I want us to
sure.
work together and figure it out. So I'm going to now make my motion to table.
It's been
And you
tabled.
just need a second.
If everybody's done with the
I
discussion.
have a comment.
Yes.
It's been tabled, but you gotta wait for the.
So he's made a motion to table. You just need a second and you can continue to discuss.
After the.
Yeah.
after the
So thank you all for your assistance. Do I hear a second? Do I hear? There's a support. There is a motion. There is support for that motion. I have a couple of closing comments on the subject. As your chair, I will ask that we move the subject along for the benefit of the community. Tim, you mentioned words like gelling, getting to know each other, talking about the issue. I want to add the inclusiveness of timing. So in September, I don't want to talk about this item, right? So I want to urge my fellow board members that I agree, gelling, getting together, knowing each other, discussing the item is great. But let's bring it back sooner than later, right? Because the community expects us to make timely decisions and move forward with the city's business, right? It's been moved, it's been second. Comment, any other comments before we take a vote?
I would make the comment that it would be appropriate to table to a particular meeting. And that might help your timing issue.
Great. So, Tim, may I ask you to make is that the proper way to make an addition to your motion for timing?
Yes.
Or a tail to your?
I don't know the parliamentary procedure for that. Is that
So-
appropriate?
So you can continue to, we have in the past, had some flexibility around reframing a motion. So,
Amending my
so,
motion?
yeah, so I would think the motion might be, and usually our council helps at this point. I would think the motion might be that your motion would be to table this to a motion, to a meeting in the future. And I would just suggest to you, you have options May, June, July. So I would think within a couple of months. The issue here is that if the mayor is excited about what she's doing and she has been filling seats, this latitude might dissipate. So
I would table till July. That would be my motion.
Okay.
To the July regular meeting.
thank you.
Council, you have
Did-
procedurally,
Need a
I've
second.
been listening. Any advice that you have for us?
Can I just ask, The original second came from Mayor Snyder. Would you still second that timing?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Council, procedurally, are proceeding correctly?
Technically, I think what
Turn
you're,
your
should be
mic on
moving
or
is to,
not, or shit.
You are muted, sir, I'm told.
Well, he's not muted. I don't think we can hear for whatever reason, because I don't see the
Maybe the
mute button on
speaker's not
here.
on.
so I don't think I'm muted.
Your device may be muted.
You might want to type it in, Nelson, because we can't hear you.
This is my life every day, all day long.
I know. I think it's, remember how?
So you're happy to know it's
That
not
one
just.
button on
It's,
the
no, it's every day.
Can you hear me?
Perhaps a hand signal of yes, we're doing okay, or we need to alter something. All right, we got a thumbs up. There's more than one way to communicate, Vicky, right?
Yep.
So, with that being said, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. Are you ready for the vote? Yes. All those in favor say aye.
I would say roll call.
This is a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Roll call, thank you very much. I take advice very easily, everyone. May we have a roll call vote at this time? Virgie, you want to start that out?
Sure. Snyder,
Yes.
Nelson.
Um,
And this is, I'm sorry, let me just be clear. So the motion on the table is to table this particular topic until the regular July meeting, which I will tell you is probably the week after the 4th of July.
yes, I'll vote yes.
It's yes, Bruce, for you? Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, Barbour,
Yes.
Wallace, Harvey,
Yes,
Zeller,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. White.
Yes.
okay, we have a unanimous vote of tabling said item until July meeting. We have work then to do amongst ourselves and discussing the item, pros and cons, and being ready to vote in July. So I like that progress already. That's great. Let's move on to item number 12, recognizing the time. Discuss and approve the president and CEO's job description. Virgie, I'll ask that you just give a little background.
Thank you for that, question. I would just say that this has been in progress. This is one of, as we continue to work through governance and policy, we did not have a job description that really reflected the current position. And so the HR group that we contract with, Rose Street Advisors, and I together have come up with this draft. And this would be appropriate for all of you to approve the draft as opposed to me approving the draft, which I have been doing with the other job descriptions in the organization. And then on page 175 is a review of the current salary scales. Because we have only really finished the job descriptions for the grant writer and the grant and program administrator and scaled those. We're now adding this role to that scaling. So I would think that, and I'm sorry, again, I should have had a motion before we started, that the motion would be to approve the job description as presented and the scale as presented by Rose Street Advisors. So I think you're looking for a motion in that point.
So, do I have a second? Motion has been initiated by Clark. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's a second on the floor. Any discussion to be had?
Just a question for me. Is there a previous job description? Is this like the first one?
There is a previous job description. It's not very robust, but I can send it to you if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm not gonna vote for or against something that I just saw and I don't know what it's a change from. I just would feel like it would be good stewardship to know a little more about it. But if everybody else has, then I think that's,
So, Tim, your question is certainly appropriate. Perhaps I'm not procedurally doing this appropriately. Part of Ben, and perhaps you can help me, Ben, here. Part of our pain points last year was not having very concise job
Yeah.
description,
clear expectations.
expectations, method by which to.
Oh, I'm all for it. I think it's great. I just haven't read it.
Sure, sure,
So,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
I believe, I understand the concept. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what this is surrounding. And we've really pushed the point of getting these things appropriately done by hiring outside counsel and assistance to do this with a professional HR firm and the like, so that we never trod the road that we did last year. We had a clear and concise methods and job descriptions, evaluations and the like. I think we've done a reasonably good job at that.
Is this something that board members worked on too, or is this just coming from Virgie and the HR? Is that how I heard that?
So we had made a decision to have the professional do the actual.
I will also say that, the HR group and the board have agreed on, the evaluation process. And so when Rose Street and I worked on this together, we made a point of reflecting back to the evaluation process and all of the competencies that are reflected throughout this job description are reflected in those areas. So I will say it was not missed when the HR group put this together, that it needed to be reflective of the job that's currently being done and also of the competencies and the requirements in the evaluation process. So tried to tie it all together. For example, the overview, I can tell you that the overview is very similar to what the original overview was, with the addition of notably including housing, because housing is new at the EDC level to be a critical component. So if you were to see the original one, it's just more robust and it includes housing and
Yeah.
community development. And then under the essential duties and responsibilities, for example, I will say that one of the items that I specifically recommended changing, the original requirement was that the EDC work directly with ARC, which is the Albion Reinvestment Corporation, as a development company. And I broadened that by saying all developers. So essentially, if you were to see the original, it's not nearly as narrow. And it's just broader. So those are the kinds of things. And then when it came to the qualifications, we tried to look at some of these qualifications for the role are much higher than the qualifications when I took the role. It's just, we just are in a different time and place.
Yeah. It
So,
looks,
so
I mean, on its
I
face,
definitely
it
would,
looks really good.
yeah.
As long as everybody's had enough time to look at it, I would support it.
And I think I sent it out a week ago in anticipation of this. So, yeah.
And Tim recognized we were smaller in number, but all board members have had opportunity to review and have input.
And has anybody had input into it? I mean, any board members provide any input to
I've
tweak it? You
had,
have-
yeah,
Okay,
some
good.
tweaks, yeah, I've had some tweaks in.
I just wonder, is it imperative that we do this today? But I mean, I would like to give the new board members that opportunity to see what it looked like before, see what it's. And I'm not opposed to it either, but I just want to be able to give them the opportunity to look at them both and see the differences so that they can have the judgment and the information to make a decision. And I don't know if it's imperative that I get them today, is there a reason? Or can this wait till the next meeting?
So how many more new board members will be here next meeting?
Well,
But I think-
So I'm all for postponing to a certain degree, but I will tell you, I've put a significant amount of time into this.
Yeah,
And this is what I've been asked to do, and I'm sensing that I know we're growing and I know we're changing. Abstentions are a thing, and I don't want to incur that, but somehow I'm a little bit nervous that we're gonna start tabling everything, waiting for a full board. And then that's gonna be really rough as we continue to try to hit our goals this
yeah,
year.
I agree kind of on both comments, but it is a job description that this board has the power to update and change if we need to later. So I don't see any harm in going ahead and approving it.
Right.
And then just, living with it for a while. And if there's something significant that needs a change, then we can talk about changing. That's is that okay?
So can you send them what was?
I would like to see just the past one to see what the evolution was like. But I'm willing to support it the way it is.
Excellent point, Tim. You took the words out of my mouth. This board has the power, right? And the clear ability to change this at any given time. So along the palladium of getting things done, right? I would support approving this today. And if in our lead and the 11-member board or 9-member board, there's something, then we can go back and revisit it. But, Ben and I particularly, cut both of our fingers and said we were gonna get this done so that it was an organized system, right? And it was nothing to be, the have ambiguity about it, which is what we've had in the past. Am I on point there?
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend we move forward with the approval and make adjustments as needed or identified.
So you have a move, you have a support. We've just had discussion. And if
I think
there's
we already
a
have,
comment,
did we have us? We already had it on that. We
So
already had it.
Clark and Nelson were the first and second. I think Ben was just acquiescing.
That was just, I'm just saying.
all right, good. All right, so are we ready for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none opposed, it is moved and approved. So let's move on to the next item to discuss and approve the LKF marketing agreement. And there's a 10-minute allocation for this, and I'll work hard to stay on those points, right?
I'll move that we approve it. So
It is approved.
Oh, it's already approved.
No.
Oh.
The motion,
Do we have a motion already?
He's making.
Well,
I'm making the motions for the point of.
I'll second it.
There we go.
all right, so it's been
Now we can
moved.
discuss.
Now we can discuss.
Now we can discuss. Bridget, you want to share the detail with us?
So I tried to send this out earlier than last night. I know the whole packet only came out yesterday, but I think I sent this out in the last week or so. It looks like Sunday, March 31st. So, this has been an ongoing, investigation, on my part to decide how we're going to manage our marketing and communications and our strategy around that. So I've interviewed 3 organizations. I'm only bringing you the final. This is the recommendation. I sent a memo along with this. Essentially, this group will handle the things that need to be done from a marketing, from a branding, communications, taking over the social media accounts, working closely to make sure that the state of Michigan and that people that are entering into Calhoun County know how to find us, know what we're doing, know how hard we're working to elevate Albion. So this is the firm that I have opted into. The dollars for this firm will be coming out of a budgeted line item that were salaries and also some economic development monies. I did check with the finance director earlier this week, and they don't really entertain budget amendments until later in the year. So I guess there won't be any need from the city's perspective to submit a budget amendment because it won't be reviewed and presented to council until much closer to the end of the year. But I feel like this board needs to understand that this is not a new expense. This is a budget amendment, or this will be an amendment of a per line item of where those dollars are coming from. So we had a staff member who was doing some of this work, and that staff member is gone, and rather than filling that role, we would be hiring this marketing and firm, and they would be doing, you know, a high level professional job. They are working very closely with Southwest Michigan First, which is, you know, our regional economic development group, and they are working very closely with others that are sensitive to the Blue Oval project. So, you know, in November, everything changed for us, you know, November of 2022, when we were able to say that Blue Oval was a thing. And now we are really looking at strategically being able to market Albion for that reason. So my recommendation would be that we move the budget line items for salaries over to consulting, hire this firm and be able to use them for these reasons. But there's no point in doing a true budget amendment at this time because the city doesn't entertain those until later in the year. But my point is in the memo, just understanding that this is not a new money. This is just using monies in a different way.
I'm sorry, using money in a different way?
Different way. Away from salaries into consulting.
So can you tell us who are the other two firms that you discussed this with?
I could tell you, one was Cadence LLC. And one was, yes, I can tell you that, the Byram firm, Byram and Fisk. So Byram and Fisk and Cadence. Now Byram and Fisk are managing the marketing for Blue Oval. And that made them high on my list because since they are very into the Blue Oval marketing. However, Albion is different than that, and it's not just Blue Oval. So I was a little worried about it being too focused there. And the LKF group gave me an a la carte option rather than a fixed fee or retainer system. And as my capacity ebbs and flows, I've had retainers in the past and I've gone 3 months and not be able to focus on anything. And I'm writing a check and I'm not happy with that. So LKF's process is very different. We can move at whatever speed I'm able to move at and be billed on a la carte basis. So those were the real reasons why I kind of went with LKF marketing. And they were highly recommended by some of our partners. As people knew that we've been searching for a firm.
So did we check in with local marketing?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
Did we
question.
check in with local marketing? I mean,
I did actually, and they don't have any capacity.
okay.
Yeah.
I will say, having been in marketing and marketing director for large corporations, this is a pretty impressive proposal that they put together here. If I was just had to create a marketing services organization, I would take much of their material. They have it well covered and it looks quite good.
I agree. I think it's a really important thing for us to focus on. I think the branding of the EDC, having gone through what it's gone through in the last year or so, we could really change that. And it's going to take some marketing to say, this is a great place to live. We're all on the same page. We're a united community. It's a great place to bring your businesses. And I think it's going to take some marketing to do that. And I think it's, I did a little research into the organization itself, but I think it's also a really low risk way for us to go forward because we're not committing to buying anything. It's an a la carte type of thing. We'll get it as we need it, use it as we need it, as we all agree to it. And I just don't see any reason why I wouldn't support it.
Great. Yeah. Mr. Beverly? Ms. Clark? Mr. White?
I guess my only other, I guess, concern is, so this is new for us. We've never hired out for marketing, and that price tag is giving me cause for concern. That's a lot of money. And we had a person who was handling the marketing, right? Like the person that was kind of handling the social media, the branding, that stuff. But you had said that she's no longer with us.
Well, she's with the city now, so she left the EDC and took a job with the city.
Because her hours got cut back, correct?
So, I think we're,
I know, I'm just asking
Point of
questions
order.
because,
yeah, I think that's a personnel issue that should be handled offline.
but that was part of her
Point of
job
order.
It was,
responsibilities, was that she was supposed to handle this, and her hours were cut back because there wasn't enough for her to.
this is a professional marketing firm. It's a completely different direction than what we had before. And I do think you're in the line of a personnel issue, which is operations. And I would like to see movement on this particular topic. It is within the budget, and as we've discussed before, I probably could have just done this on my own because it's within the budget, it's within the purview of operations, but I would like to have some, understanding at the board level of why we're moving to this. So, we did lose the person that was doing our social media and email blasting. This is a professional marketing firm because we need to do professional marketing to bring in some pretty high level investors. And Albion, it needs some help. So I think this is a good way to go.
It is the big change. I mean, I think it's a fair question to say, do we want to go towards consulting and away from internal? Again, for me, I feel like it's low risk to do that because we're not committing to any long-term funding. We're just committing to buying some à la carte services as we need them, see how it goes. And, the board can at any time say, this isn't working, maybe we should have an internal position again. So, whenever we can come up with a low risk way for us to move forward and fast, I think it's a good move to make.
And I will mention additionally that it is à la carte. Right, we're not signing a long-term agreement or contract. Maybe I'm rehashing issues with 20 seconds to go in this slot. But we're not committing for any long-term dollars. These are by à la carte. So we're basically paying firm by the hour. We are in need of some fresh and some new methods. We had a person in that role, and the inclusion was not this type of marketing. Right, this was branding and a number of other different things that we need that we're not in-house. So the bringing forth to the board, as we have done in the past, though this is in the budget and not required to be brought to the board, is that ongoing effort, relentless effort to be transparent with not just the board, but the community as well, Vicky. So we're not looking to do anything that is abnormal. If anything, we are working diligently that this is above board and completely transparent. So that's been a mantra from the very beginning, and continue that mantra, right? But this is part of what is in operation today.
So I know that we had like a list of like potential staffing. Remember how you had sent that out? Like this is like the wish list of who we're gonna have. So are we removing somebody from that wish list? do this then? Remember, it was kind of set out a couple of months ago, like this is how we would like to see staffing in the office.
So,
I'm not understanding her question. Would you say it again, please?
So I can't remember when it was sent out. You had sent out like, this is how we would like to see the office staff for positions.
so I have,
Time.
I have a constantly, I am constantly updating the staffing structure. And it is an item that we continually pivot, based on either whether the process that we have in place is working, whether we have staff available. As staff leave, it's a good time to pivot. So I had a staff member leave who was handling some of this responsibility. And according to the memo, we're taking that salary and pivoting it to this firm.
Good?
Yeah.
Good, okay. With that being said, is there any other comments, discussion? No? Right, I think we're past our 10 minutes, but we're moving to getting better, right? So, I think I have a motion, I believe I have a second, we're in discussion. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote?
Move to vote.
Move to vote, all those in favor signify by
You're gonna roll call on this. Because I have to do money.
money, okay, all right, we're good.
White? I'm sorry,
I was picking at it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead with your roll call vote, please.
White?
Yeah.
Clark?
Yes.
Zeller?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Wallace? Barbour?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
And Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
You have 8 yeses and no nos, your motion passes.
We have a unanimous agreement. That's great. Moving on to item 14, Board of Directors discussion and comments. We have 5 minutes in this slot and I will consider it an open floor and let's have some comments. We don't have the city of Albion, mayor is here. The township, Sheridan Township, the Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce is not here. And so we can utilize that time because they don't have a report. But this is the time for us to have some open discussion, board members. Please, let's acquaint ourselves and let me first of all say, to the new board members, welcome again. And we have a new board member in Tim Zeller. And Tim, I'll personally thank you for joining the board, or Mayor, you nominating Tim to join the board and you accepting. Appreciate that so much and welcome. And as you can see, we've got a lot of good work to do and we're determined to be straight ahead and focused on what we're doing, moving the town ahead. So thank you. Perhaps you'll take a minute to tell us about yourself and that'll loosen up to this.
Well, I am kind of shy in front of big groups of people, but I will say a few things on that.
Please.
My background is in government contracting, management, government management. I was general counsel of Lansing Community College for many years. I have a law degree and practice mostly in labor and employment law. And I am now the chief of staff of TerraCore Corporation out of Washington, DC, although I work from home, so I only travel there on occasion. And as of this week, I also am the interim vice president of business development and a new member of the city council. So I'm pretty busy life. Fortunately, my kids are all grown and gone, so I don't have any other really big responsibilities. But I'm just really honored to be here. I absolutely love this community. And I'm really excited about what we can all do together.
Great.
So now, thanks for having me.
Vicky, you look like you've got a comment.
I was just gonna say, if Bruce and Ian also I mean, I know Bruce has been here at meetings, but I don't know if he's been formally introduced to Trevor, and Ian is brand new, even though those of us who've lived here in Albion know him, but, you know, definitely.
Still talk about himself.
Give them the opportunity to.
And I apologize, I'm sorry, I don't think you were here at the last meeting, but we provided them opportunity.
Oh, okay.
But this is great to do it again, so you're here and let's do it again.
No pressure here, okay? Just piggybacking off my earlier comments, you know, we really don't have time to waste. I don't want to get into the thing where we kicking the can down the road, and I want to see progress. That's what I'm here for. All our time is valuable. It's not how much time we have, it's what we do with that time. So when we're together doing these meetings, I would just like to see progress happen, you know. I've said this many times, I'm born and raised right here in Albion. I'm a product of Albion. Everything that I hope to be in life is because of Albion. You know, just knowing, Mr. Zeller, I would love to talk to you offline about, the Lansing Community College thing. I know they have a program for like skills trades and stuff like that. That's something that I'm really interested in, to get our young people involved in that. Things of that nature, to bring that can bring more jobs here as well. I understand that, you know, we have the Blue Oval plant and that's gonna bring a lot of jobs, but I want to do something that's on Albion soil, you know, not, that's great. And we will get something out of that, but I want to do something here, you know. And the other thing is, with the state that the city's in right now, I have a different perspective, because a lot of the business owners that come here, I get to meet with them. They're looking for buildings, they want to know this building. I just feel that, and I'm saying this from hearing this from a couple different people, is that they say they do business elsewhere, and when they come here, it's seeming to be more difficult to get going here. I would like to see what we can do in the process to make it easier to make businesses come here. When they do come here, I'm not saying to break the rules or bend the rules, but make it as easy as possible to make businesses want to come here and not discourage them. Because I've heard that a couple of times, just so that the public, so that the city is aware that that is happening, you know, so it's all in the process of moving forward. That's it.
Bruce, any words of wisdom from you today?
Well, I think I've introduced myself on numerous occasions. I was very excited to see an opportunity to be on the Economic Development Corporation. Everybody was encouraging people to apply, and I finally decided, why not? I actually have the background in the area. I worked in business development. I have a marketing degree. I worked for large corporations, and I've been fascinated by the housing market where I've invested, and also in the general economic development. I was on an earlier committee for housing, developing senior housing in Albion. And I have to say that in the 7 years since I came back here, I grew up here, but then I came back, that I have actually seen progress. You know, it's kind of like 2 steps forward and then we stop and then we take another step forward. But in the last 7 years, we've really gone forward, and certainly with housing, from the discussions we were having with housing, you know, 6 years ago, we were way past a lot of the things that were talked about then. So it's hard sometimes in the immediate conversations and actions and so forth, events, to see that we are actually making some good progress in Albion. So I think that we're really building on a really good base here, and we have some challenges, but I think we can really do some great stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
Mr. White, any words of wisdom from you today? Your business is booming, I understand, and we know you've been absent from some meetings, but busy. At the same time, we're glad that you're here and able to be with us. Please share some wisdom with us.
Well, oh man. Uh, First off, happy to have the new members. Of course, known Ian for a minute now, and now that I have you here, uh, why not say it in front of everybody? I've admired you for a long time. I know we didn't know each other, but I remember when me and my family bought our first home and the newspaper article came out when you opened your first business. And then I think it was like 5-star heating or something like that.
Awesome.
All-star heating, yeah. So when I saw that, you were kind of my inspiration here in Albion when I saw that. So I was like, man, I said, that's nice. I said, cause I'm pretty sure everybody know my wife's family, Rough and Krieger Builders, just knowing them. And I was like, man, now that he has his heating company, I was like, yeah, somebody who actually looks like me having a business here in Albion. I said, so I wanted to do that. So I think the fear of it kind of prevented me long, but eventually I got there. But I wanted to give you your roses while you were here, and I figured why not do it in front of everybody. But you were truly my inspiration here in Albion to eventually start my business, man.
Yeah,
But
thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome. So that being said, yes, this year has been a prosperous year for my business, and I would love to give a shout out. I don't know if many of you know this company, Liebherr. It's a German company based out of Saline, Michigan. They're heavy in automation and machine building. So I have a extensive long contract with them right now doing work. So it's been a blessing. So I have no complaints of being busy. Hopefully it continues that way, and hopefully eventually I can do things here like Ian suggested. One of my biggest dreams here still is to eventually, with Ben and Scott Coverly and yourself, Mr. Zeller, I want that tech hub here, and there's a need for it. And I keep telling people this all the time is I've done it. I've been there. I worked on the project for the Reno, Nevada battery plant for Tesla. When I worked for a company called Gouda Wink out of Ann Arbor, we were part of that project. And with this battery plant coming here forward, I know what jobs are going to be required. And I know the skill sets people are going to need to work those jobs. So we need that hub here for them. So that's my goal. We need that industrial skill trade, and not only that tech background. You don't necessarily have to be a programmer like myself, but you at least need to understand how to navigate that robot, because that facility is probably going to be 90% robotics automation. Because if you go to that Reno plant, it's all robotics. And I have to give kudos to Ford for not completely wiping out the work staff and actually having humans in the actual facility compared to Tesla. There's probably 4 people on each shift, and that's only because they couldn't get the robot to place the cables in the precise position that they need to be in. So that should tell you something. So when I say we need that hub, we need that hub like now. Because eventually the only people that's gonna be in those type of positions are guys like myself. And that's what I tell young people all the time. I will never be out of work. I don't care if my business ended today. I know I can walk in the door anywhere and get a job. And we need to prep our people here in Albion for that. So no matter what happens to them, they have a skill set that they can have for a lifetime and go anywhere to any company and still get hired.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Clark, any words of wisdom? No? Tim, I think we got your input there. So to our CEO, any words of wisdom this morning for us, or any closing comments that you'd like to make? No. Oh, okay, all right. Kudos to our scribe, as I affectionately call it. Mr. Reed is getting married soon, in fact, this weekend, so we would all just congratulate him in his efforts there. My closing comments are the following. We have one mission. That is to move the city of Albion forward economically. That is our job. We realistically will do that job as long as I get to sit here. It's a pleasure for the honor of sitting here. From my old manufacturing days, something called inpatient patience. It's something that Virgie hears probably too much. Impatient patience, but we have to move this community forward. We will do it transparently and we will do it effectively. We are not out to spite anyone. We're not out to down anyone, but we are out for the citizens of Albion to have a better life. And that can be done through economics. If there's 2 factories in town, that's 2 times more people working. If there's 5 factories in town, there's more people working. If there's more houses, people are attracted. One day, I suspect that Amtrak's gonna run a train from here to Battle Creek or Port Huron, or maybe even Chicago, that will put you from downtown Detroit to Albion in 45 minutes. Guess what that will do to the housing market here in town? Right? You'll become a smaller New York, a metropolitan area. So we have work to do. And we will expeditiously do that work. Mr. Barbour, your comments regarding people coming to town and being discouraged in their business is certainly something significant that we need to look at, right? And based on your comments, I will ask Ms. Snyder, our mayor, to hang back for a second if you have a moment. So recognizing that you don't have time this morning, and I'm calling it out of the sky, I would ask that we set a time to have some conversation around that without it being done publicly, because there is a huge need today for us to be appetizing to people, businesses coming to town. And I too am getting repeated reports that that is not the case, that we are welcoming. So let's talk about it offline and work together. With that all being said, let's make a motion to excuse those.
Oh, excuse.
Yeah, let's excuse those absent. That's a first, isn't it? You'd almost think I did that intentionally. May I hear a motion to adjourn? All right, second move. Thank you all. Have a great day. It is 9:19.